The year was 1978, and I was 32 years old. I had a tumor that was the size of a walnut that grew to be the size of a cantaloupe in just 3 weeks' time. So what happened was my gynecologist, Dr. Jim O'Keefe, said, Sandy, you really need to have a hysterectomy. Well, that was okay with me. I had my twins, Eric and Katrina. They were 11, and Bobby was 7. That was fine. I had all these precancerous things. I had biopsy after biopsy. So in I went, only 32 years old. I had the hysterectomy, and I remember waking up and like early afternoon, I thought, wow, it's over. I feel good. Cancer must be gone. It must be all finished. So a nurse came into my room and said, would you like to get up and go for a walk? I go, yes, I'd love to go for a walk. Get me out of this bed. I feel so good. I just want to dance, right? Well, as we walked down the hall, now walking is not quite the right word. My incision went from my entire abdomen because the tumor was so big. So I was waddling down the hall, but I was moving. It felt so good. But of course, I was a little bit humped over because I hurt. I remember the nurse taking my shoulders and pulling them back. And I remember feeling searing, terrible pain. I got back to my bed, crawled in my bed. I remember going into a blissful sleep. Now that I knew it had to be around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, thereabouts. Well, okay, I woke up and it was dark. Okay, must have slept for a little while, I thought. And the roommate had the lights off and she's watching the television. And I thought, oh gosh, I feel wet and cold. And I bet I've wet the bed. This is going to be embarrassing. I've wet the bed. Well, I reached for my nurse call button over on my right side. My right arm was on a rigid IV board. Back then, they put you on a rigid board for IV, and I couldn't reach the call button. So I said to my roommate, would you please call the nurse for me? I think I've wet myself. Well, all I remember is the lights went on, and she was screaming, and I screamed. All we saw was the color red. My blankets were saturated. The whole middle of my bed was saturated red with my blood. I was bleeding out. And all of a sudden, almost instantaneously, I lifted up out of my body and went up to the top of the room. I'm looking down. That's Dr. Jim down there. And the nurse says, now I knew that was me down there, but I knew that was me up here. I really didn't feel connected to that me down there. This was kind of fun, just floating around, and I wasn't hurting, no pain. Then I kind of tilted a little bit one way, and I could see that the ceiling of the room had just opened up into like the sky. I could see blue sky. So through no effort of my own, up I go, whoop, 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 whoop. And there I am, like, flying above the hospital. There's the hospital, there's the Hudson River, there's the bridge. Oh, there's my house down there. Look, there's my house. This was so cool. I was flying. And all of a sudden, I go up higher and higher. Now I'm in the white fluffy cloud. Amazing. Then I started going faster and faster and faster. Now, how do I explain this? Remember, we had a television show called Star Trek, and they had a Starship Enterprise, and they would depict that starship as flying through space at warp speed, whoosh through space. That's what I was doing. I was flying through space, me. And I saw stars, and I saw galaxies, and I saw nebula. And it was beautiful. Now, I know other NDEs talk about this time as being a black void or a tunnel or a white tunnel, a bright light. For me, I went through the star fields. I was not afraid. I was so excited. I remember just feeling exhilarated. Now, I don't know how long I was flying or how far I went. But I remember seeing horizon at a distance with light. And I got closer and closer, and I slowed down. And I could see like a walled area, a walled city, huge, with beautiful sparkling spires in the middle of it, the city inside of these walls. Look, this is really wonderful. This is beautiful. So I guess you say landed. I don't know. I was on the grass. I landed, I guess, just outside this entrance. So it's an open gateway to this beautiful, beautiful wall. And there was someone standing near the gate, mentioning me too. Come, come. Well, don't we often wonder who we meet in heaven? We often wonder that, don't we? Well, I thought, well, maybe it was my brother Billy. He died at 17 at a train accident. No. Maybe it was Mark. No. It was neither of them. It was my grandfather, Jim Dool. Now, that surprised me at the moment, but after the fact, it made a lot of sense. And I was pleasantly surprised it was Grandpa. My grandfather had died unexpectedly when I was 14. I could not see him in the hospital. He died so quickly that people expected he would have the amputation and go home. He had a circulatory problem in his legs, and they removed one leg, and they came back and said, we're going to take the other one. He said, oh, no, I'm not. And Grandpa just willed himself gone. He was gone. Well, I never had a chance to tell him thank you because I was one of many grandchildren. It was the Dool family, Duell, the Dool family. It's a French name, I think it's called Devil, actually. A large family, Duval. But he always treated me special. He would sit down and talk with me. He was sitting in this big old overstuffed chair with his two colleagues, Lassie and Dixie, sitting next to him. He used to smoke his pipe, and he talked to me. Here I am, a 13, 14-year-old girl. My grandfather cared what I had to say. Now, even more importantly, before he retired, when I was maybe 12 years old, he had his most prized possession in the world were a pair of Belgian draft horses, those huge, huge, huge brown draft horses. Well, that's how he earned a living. He worked in the mines with them. He worked in the highways. We're talking early 1900s. And they were workhorses, but they were his prized possession. Well, he allowed me, this little spunky one granddaughter only. I asked afterward, and no one ever else got to do it. He let me take Major and Dan down the lane, quite a long lane, down to the brook to get water. And they could probably go down by themselves, but he let me take these beautiful horses down there and bring them back. He trusted them with me. Now, that is a lot of trust. Or we'd be talking together, and he would go in and he'd bring out his stash. There's a Whitman's chocolate. It's like a sampler box, and it's a type of chocolate. You can tell what he'd bring out his sampler box and give me a chocolate. And no, he didn't do this with the other cousins either. And he'd take me to parades. I like parades. So he was a very special person now that I think about it. Well, okay, that was why I was happy to see him. So here we are, this beautiful wall. Now, this must be heaven because that is my grandfather. Now, he looked younger than when he died. I think he was late 60s, but he had two legs. He looked healthy. It was his voice. It was his facial, the clothes I remember seeing him wearing because he was wearing that type of clothes. And he said, come on in, come with me. This is going to be fun. I'm going to go in this and I'm going to see that city in there. I was excited and I was so happy to see my grandfather. Well, we walked into this first courtyard and everything glistened. The trees, the leaves, the flowers, the grass, everything just seemed to exude life and energy. I wanted to touch everything. And he let me for a little while. It was so beautiful. There were flowers of every color and every fragrance, yet they melded together. And they're colors that we don't see on Earth. And there's just no words in our vocabulary to talk about it. But it was exciting. So, okay, we walk in again. And I hear the fountains tinkling, tinkle, tinkle fountains all over. I heard music, but I heard no voices. But I did hear music in the distance, further down the colonnade. And it was a colonnade of long, long columns, long, long walkways. I kept wanting to see and touch everything. Come on, Sandy, you need to come along. Well, I wanted to say I was happy. Sandy, we need to go. Okay. And now, Sandy, it's time for you to go in. Go in. He walked me up to the building, had an open door. And this is where I leave you now, he said. You have to go in alone. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It'll be okay. But you have to go in alone. I can't go with you. Now, I did not like that idea at all. It was bright light in there. I did not know what was in there. I wanted my grandfather. I didn't know what to do. I go, well, he kind of nudged me. He kind of gave me a little shove, and in I went. Well, I was excited to be in heaven, but I didn't want to be in there. I really didn't. But I went in there. So he really made me go in. And it was so bright. The whole room was full of bright light and just energy, energy everywhere. Well, before I go any further, I'm going to keep you hanging for just a minute. I will tell you what I saw there, but I want to go back and tell you about the first NDE and how they make a sense to come together. And it does make sense, but we have to do it this way, please. Years before, when I was a little girl, I've been a little girl a long time ago. I'm 79 years old, but I've had a good life. I died from polio. Now, polio back then in the 1950s was a killer disease. That's coming back, unfortunately, now. But polio is a killer or a crippler. Now, that year, 1953, there were 1,800 people who died from it, and thousands of children were crippled. They're the kids you see with, kids are my age now. They'd be in their 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Many of them have passed. They have shriveled legs that they couldn't walk without crutches. Very debilitating type of illness. Well, I wasn't feeling very well, and I'm not usually a sick kid because I'm running around with 3 brothers. I was pretty healthy all the time, but I was having trouble breathing. So my parents took me up to Glens Falls Hospital ER, not too far from home. And I remember being placed on a stretcher, and all of a sudden they were pushing me down the hall so fast, the legs went whoosh, 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 and I couldn't breathe. I wasn't getting any air in. And then I felt a doctor lay on me, and he opened my throat, and he did a tracheostomy on my throat so that they could get oxygen in, because I had stopped breathing. I was paralyzed. Nothing was working. My diaphragm, nothing. I was rushed up to isolation, and I was placed in an iron lung. Have you ever heard of an iron lung? They're like, not all people have. I will describe it to those who haven't. It's like a big cylinder, like a submarine. And they pull out the drawer, and they place the patient in it so that our head is protruding out one end of it. And a very strong membrane goes around our neck to keep the air pressure in the tube. You get pushed back in, locked in like a pressure cooker, and the pressure of air coming into the machine will push your chest down. The pressure goes out, your chest comes up. It's breathing for you. It's an external iron lung. Now, that was on a Saturday. On a Wednesday, Mother told me there were 10 children from Glens Falls, same town, and we didn't know each other, in an iron lung. Monday I went in. Wednesday there were 10. On Friday there was 1 left, me. Dr. Friedman, wonderful Dr. Friedman. He was a young doctor. I was his first polio patient. Mrs. Dool, he called my mother. Sandy's at a crisis stage, and I think you need to come up. We're losing her too. So just before my mother passed in 2006, I asked her about this, and she finally told me. She had never told me about my dying. She just never would talk about it. But she knew she was dying, and I needed to know, I think. So she told me that she and the nurse and Dr. Friedman sat with me, and they watched me die in the iron lung. Even with the iron lung, I couldn't breathe. And the Dr. Friedman went out, and they left Mother alone in the room with me. And she said she watched, I don't know how long it was, but she said she watched my face go from pink to gray. And it was quite a while that she was with me. And the room was silent because the machine had been whooshing, 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 whooshing for days, right? And then now she's sitting there in complete dead silence. And then all of a sudden she heard a clunk noise, and she jumped, and another clunk, and she went over and she peered in one of the portholes of the iron lung. It was me kicking the iron lung. I wanted out of that thing. I was back. I was alive. And then she watched my color come back, my little pug nose back, and the rest, they ran and got the doctor, got the iron lung going again, and I was back, and I survived. Miraculously, it was a miracle. I did survive. All the churches in Glens Falls were praying for the Dool girl, the one little girl who's still alive. And she's all grown up now, but the Dool girl is still alive. I did have to learn to walk and talk all over because of the damage polio did to me. But after a while, I went back to school. Now, I've always felt guilty about being the survivor of that, because why did the other 9 kids die? Why did Sandy Dual live and not the other kids? Right? I felt nervous about that all my life. Well, now that we have the backstory in place, let's go back to heaven and continue where I was. Remember, I was with my grandfather. He pushed me in the door. I'm peeking in. I'm in the large room with white, bright light. And as I walked in, I was shaking and quaking. I was so afraid. I didn't know what on earth I was getting into. It was very bright. And then I heard a voice. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. But don't be afraid. Okay. He had a very strong energy and it was luminous and it was glowing. And it was like light was coming out of this entity. So I thought, oh gosh. So again, he said, Sandra, come here. Don't be afraid. After hearing that way he said it, I was not so afraid. And I walked up to him. Now, I believed God allowed me to see him in this image so that I would not be afraid. How we can't imagine what God looks like, the man who has created all of the universes and the earth and everything. Our little pickle brains cannot fathom it. But he allowed me to see him in this form so that he could communicate with me and I would not be afraid. I could feel his love. And I did. And I refer to him as him because I felt like I was in front of my father, talking to my father, not, what have you done with your life? And it was a male voice. And I no longer was afraid. I was just awestruck as I was with him and these other bright things. I remember him staring at me. It's like, I'm the kid that was in trouble. I had the feeling that you're in trouble. He's staring at me. And it felt as though he was looking into my soul. And he knew every cell in me. He knew everything about Sandra. But yet I felt safe. I felt comfortable. I felt love. I felt compassion, but I felt no judgment or condemnation. Then he asked me the question, Sandra, what of value have you done with your life? What differences have you made with your life? Remember, I died before, was sent back, and I kept it a secret. I remember thinking for a while about my life. I couldn't think of anything special. I mean, I tried to have a good life. I tried to be a good mother. I tried to be a good wife. I tried to be a good Sunday school teacher. I respected my parents. I tried to follow the golden rules, but I don't know. At that time, I had the 3 children, Eric and Katrina, twins that were 11, and Bobby, who was around 6 or 7. And although I knew I could have stayed in heaven, I knew right then I could have stayed there. I didn't want to leave my kids back on earth with just their father because I felt that I honestly would be a better influence on them, hopefully, than just their father. I thought for a while. I said, nothing. I've done nothing special. Please send me back. If you send me back, I promise to make a difference. I promise to make a difference and do something of value. Poof! I was back in my body. Oh, was I hurting? Oh, was I hurting? Yes, I was hurting. Severe pain, but I was back. After many blood transfusions, I was back. Now, I was very surprised to have gone to heaven. I've been a Baptist childhood, Sunday school bus every Sunday, Methodist teen years, which was good. The Baptists wouldn't like to sing and dance, and I like to sing and dance. So I joined the Methodist church because I like to sing and choir and dance. And then the Presbyterian church as an adult. I did believe in God, and I'd accepted Jesus as my Savior with an Irv Chambers concert. I really felt moved by him at that. I knew the 10 Commandments, and I believed that God did forgive sinners, but he's never going to forgive me. He'll never forgive me. Why? Because 2 years before the surgery and the colorful NDE, I had committed a sin that I thought was unforgivable. And this is what it was. In 1977, I met a man named Carl fell in love with him. He made me feel wanted. He made me feel beautiful. He made me feel desired. We did fun, spontaneous things together. We went to nice restaurants. We went on trips and had adventures together. Life was fun with Carl. And my husband was so concentrated on work that I was just always set aside. And I was very lonely and unhappy in my marriage. I was sublimely happy with Carl, I thought. I was looking forward to our February wedding, Valentine's Day, and sharing a new and happy life with him. Well, it was Christmas Eve, and I was happy that Carl was coming down to spend it with my kids and I. I was especially happy because I had just found out that I was pregnant with his baby. Now, he had two older adopted children, but no children of his own. I was pregnant with his child. I thought he would be happy. Now, my family had disowned me for being involved with this older man, so they were out of my life anyway, but they were out of my life altogether. Well, Christmas Eve, he came in all Mr. Jolly with his gifts, and I was hoping for that engagement ring, you know. Well, we opened our gifts. There was no engagement. I don't even remember what it is today, but there was no engagement ring. And he said, well, I have something special I want to tell you. Well, I have something special to tell you too, Carl. So we'll enter the dining room and sat down. Excuse me just a minute. So he sat down and he looks at me and he goes, I like you. You like me? I answered. I think I love you. You think you love me? I answered. I can't handle having teenagers again. We need to stop seeing each other. What? Stop seeing each other now? Right now? Yes. I was dumbfounded. I just sat back and I did not know what to say. I said nothing. He got up and out the door he went. He was gone. Well, I kept myself together because I still had three children in the living room and it was Christmas Eve and I was not about to spoil their Christmas. So I went in, I looked at their gifts, and off to bed they went with a kiss and a hug, and off they go. I was devastated. I had never felt so low before in my entire life. I felt dirty. I felt stupid. I felt abandoned. I felt worthless, alone. Every negative word you can think of is what I was thinking of myself. I cried. Kleenexes don't work. I cried into a washcloth, and I sobbed into my pillow. How am I going to take care of Eric, Katrina, and Bob, and a new baby? Keep my job, which it was a good job. I needed to keep my job and pay our bills. No family, nobody around me, just my three kids and me now. Well, that night was the lowest and most painful time in my entire life. In my agony, I decided to end my life. I took enough pills to kill me. I wanted to die. I intended to die. The next morning I woke up. I didn't die. I wished I had. I was in agony. Remember, I was pregnant. I miscarried that little baby on Christmas morning, alone. And my heart just broke for it and for me and for my kids and the whole situation. Well, I felt tremendous guilt about that. And I didn't tell anybody about that. And I'll talk more about that later. I told nobody about that. And I thought I was finished with Carl, though, at that point. I mean, I wanted to be finished with Carl anyway. Well, over the next 4 years, he kept popping up at work. I ignored him. Where I visited little restaurant, no. But one day, 4 years later, I was walking down the street. We had a little little small grocery store just up the street. Went to get some milk for the kids. I was walking up the sidewalk, maybe 7 o'clock at night. A car pulled up beside me, and it was Carl. And he got up. He had no business being on that street at that hour of the day or night. He had been following me or watching me somehow to know that I was walking up the street. Well, I'd had enough of this. I've had enough. He goes, oh, I miss you. I love you. I want you in my... Are you crazy? I said. Get away from me. Get away from me. And he kept going, get away from me. So I said, no, you don't want... Remember, you didn't want me. You threw me away. You did not want me, remember? You left me that Christmas Eve. I had something to tell you, but you never heard it. Carl, I was pregnant with your baby. He was in shock. Why didn't you tell me? You didn't want me. You walked out of our life. You did not want us. Because of you and me, an innocent baby died. Carl, you're not worth it. Get out of my life and stay away from me. So help me. I was so angry I could have hurt him, I think, but I didn't. I just get away from me. He was just standing there in shock, I guess. Went to the store. When I came back, he was gone. And I never saw him again after that. So that was done. That part of it was done. Well, it wasn't really done because I still had things to deal with. Remember, that important fact, though, is that near-death experience came 2 years after the suicide. So I was forgiven. I know I could have stayed in heaven. I asked to come back. But have I done anything yet of value? Here I am, X number of years later, still wondering, I don't know. Well, I only started talking about the heartbreak, the whole heartbreak, in February of 24, when I gave my first A Glimpse of Heaven, is what I call my story, presentation. It was very difficult to speak about the suicide and the baby because I kept it as no one knew in my family. No one knew but Carl. Nobody did. But I realized what God had told me is I have to do this. I have to open my heart to what he wanted me to do. And I did. Well, this NDE was not my only encounter with the holy entity. And there's one more part that has to go into this puzzle. It was amazing and it was surreal. I was trying to find my way to make a difference. And along the way, who am I? Because I'm not Sandy Dool. I'm not Sandy Nason. Who am I? I have no idea who I am. I didn't know who I was anymore. So I started with the Bible studies and Bible groups and reading books and going to retreats. Now, I like retreats because I can get lost in them. I was free to be me, free to feel what I was feeling, and it was peaceful and relaxing. Well, one retreat was very special. It was Easter weekend, 1980. There were 20 members of the same Methodist church going. Now, we were not the facilitators. We were the participants, which was very unusual. Now, Sky Farm Retreat Center is in the mountains, the Adirondack Mountains, about 50 miles north of where I lived. Normally, I drive, being the A personality that I am, but no, I didn't this time. God made sure I didn't drive. And I went with my friend Barbara. We drove up, and as we started to climb up to the level of the lodge and the fort, you see the clouds were almost hanging in the treetops. And it was drizzling rain. So we went in and we had a nice community dinner together and chatted for a while. And then we went into the study room. And the facilitators handed us a tablet each, a pen, and a list of questions we were to journal about. So that's no problem at all. And the question, something to do with who is God and what does he mean to you? Well, I obviously know who God is, and I know what he means to me. So this is my chance to really talk about something for the first time, right? And no. And as I went out, he goes, oh, by the way, everyone, this is a silent retreat. There'll be no conversation between anyone, husbands, wives, friends, until tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock when we meet for breakfast. No talking. Okay with me. I'm used to being alone. My kids go with their dad. I'm very comfortable, getting comfortable with who I am and being quiet and alone. Fine. Well, my friends had brought their rain gear, but I was so busy getting my children ready to go, I forgot my own rain gear. That's fine. I don't need to go out in the rain, get my hair all funny. There was a big fluffy chair up by the fireplace. There was a nice fire in the fireplace. I'll just go sit up there and just, gel out until it's time to answer these questions. So I sat down in this big old chair, and this is really comfortable, and the fireplace was going, and I opened up the questions, and I don't remember what they were exactly, but I remember I became very agitated, and my hands were going like this, and I was starting to squirm. What is the matter with me? I don't know. Something is very wrong because I've never felt this way before. Now, when I'm afraid, I run. I just wanted to get up and I was going to explode. I wanted to explode. So I know my fists were like this. I got up out of my chair and I ran out through the double doors. Walk right through the double doors. Walk right out of the building into the rain, into the driveway, into the trees, the forest. And it's raining. I stop and I go, oh, there's my friends standing in a circle watching me. Oh, this is not good. And I can't run home, not 50 miles. This isn't going to work. This is not good. This is very embarrassing. I thought, what on earth is happening to me? I remember kind of leaning up against a tree and put my head down. And I said, dear God, why am I here? What do you want of me? Why am I here? And then all of a sudden I felt warm. And I looked up. Whoops. There I was, enshrouded in a column of white, soft light. I wasn't getting rained on. And there were my friends watching it all happen. And it was like a hug with a white, fluffy blanket. It felt wonderful. I felt loved. I felt protected. Marvelous feeling. And then I heard the words, just like I'd heard in heaven. Don't be afraid. This is exactly where you're supposed to be. This is the beginning. And I held on to that for a while. That felt really good, being hugged like that by God, right? And I went in and I went to bed and I slept a really good sleep. And the next morning I thought, I must have dreamt that. This could not possibly have happened. I'm just Sandra wrote. How could this happen to me? How could it happen to me? Well, when I got to the kitchen, can you imagine? Woof, they're all, Sandy, what happened? What happened? What happened? And I said, you tell me. What happened? What did you see? And now Clayton, the pastor, goes, there was a light. You were in a column of light. You just glowed. And I said, Shirley, Sue, did you all see that? Yes, they all saw the white light. I said, did you hear anything? Did you hear any words? No, they heard no words. No. But that's what they saw. Now, can you imagine any better validation than when that happened to me in front of 20 Christian people who were witnesses, including my pastor? Well, he doesn't share his pulpit very often. He said, Sandy, I want you going to church tomorrow morning. Now, I don't talk in public. I didn't talk in public at that time. I want you to go up to the pulpit. I want you to tell our congregation what happened here today. And I did. And that was the first time I started to do that. Well, then I realized I really have to make an effort because now God is really getting in behind me saying, let's do this. So I started more study groups and counseling with the grief of the baby, the grief of all the things, hating myself, and life had become overwhelming. So it all happened. I became depressed and they diagnosed me as having borderline personality disorder, and that was scary and was causing havoc in my life. And I'm a visual person, marketing person, probably is why. And I had to give that thing in my life that was disturbing my life a vision. And it was a purple dragon. There was a purple dragon on my back, and I could not reach that purple dragon to get it off my back. No matter what I did, how hard I studied, how hard I worked with those two psychiatrists, I could not get that purple dragon off my back. Well, fortunately, one thing led to another, and I met Dr. Charles Menzel. Well, Dr. Menzel knows I'm an A personality, and he pushed my buttons really well. He needed to do that to help me get well. And I was determined to beat the purple dragon, and Dr. Menzel helped me. He taught me how to reduce my pain and control my life. And you let your past control your life if you let it. I stopped letting my past control my life. I made a life worth living, I thought, and I let go of the past and just focus on tomorrow. So my purpose did change, though, after the NDE and the retreat. So I joined High Peaks Hospice, and I helped patients. That felt really good, but not quite right. I worked at Glens Falls Hospital Psych Department as a psychodrama therapist. That felt right, but not quite right. I worked for Saratoga Hospital and created a daycare center for manic depressive women. That still didn't feel, so what am I doing? I haven't heard anything from God. What am I doing? I'm floundering. Well, I'll tell you. On May 22nd, 2022, the lights came on, the bells rang, hit me in the head with a rock. I did a fall in my house that normally kills people. I'm 6 foot tall. I fell backwards, straight back. I was not aware what I felt like a tree, totally backwards. I remember feeling my head hit the glass door, plunk, plunk, and went down onto a tile foyer. I broke both of my wrists. I broke 2 vertebrae in my back, 2 in my neck, and had a severe concussion. I lay there as my fingers blew up, grabbed off my wedding ring, and just laid there screaming. Because I was on my arm. I couldn't get my ring off before I can't get it off. And that stopped me right there. I was in agony. So I thought, okay, I should have died. Why didn't I die this time? Why didn't he let me go this time? I've done everything I can. I thought I made him happy. I thought I'd done what God wanted me to do. I did what Sandy thought God wanted me to do, apparently. So I go, dear God, what do you want me to do? Dear God, what do you want me to do? Well, there I am, sitting there with my arms in splints, looking out the window. And all of a sudden I hear that voice again. You're going to get up. You're going to get well. And you're going to tell the story, all of the story, the NDEs and the good and the bad. Oh, no, no. Oh, yes, you are. Oh, no. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Well, I did. And it was clearly, you have to talk about Christmas and the baby and the suicide, mental health, because people need to know you can do it and get well. He forgave me. He'll forgive you. And his promise of everlasting life. I did not want to tell the whole story. I never had, because I was too ashamed of my mistakes that I had made in my life. So I found my purpose is to be brave, to tell my story, the whole story, and to open where he will lead me. Now that's still a hard thing to do. So I'm sitting there on December 10th of 2023 with my neck still in a brace, because from May to December, my neck was still really messed up. So I'm sitting in the waiting office like this. The next thing was another lady with a neck brace on. And I turned to her, just think, when we go to heaven, we won't hurt. She goes, do you believe in heaven? I go, well, yes, don't you? We started to talk about heaven and not hurting in heaven. And I go, I'm looking forward to the day because this pain is unto God. No, I believe in God. Yes, we'll be in heaven together. And we're talking about heaven, kind of laughing. She goes, do you know Deb Davis? No. Well, Deb Davis has a group of people that meets in Cocoa every month who are near-death experienced people or out-of-body experienced people. And they're just like you. I didn't know there was a group like me. I did not know that. So he got me connected with Deb, and in January I met Deb. In February I did my first presentation. I got up there in front of a group of people and I told the whole story. Well, God likes to play little tricks on me. In the middle of my presentation, he said, Sandy, you've got to talk about how to heal a broken heart. You healed your broken heart. You need to share that because people don't know how to do that. Now, I developed an exercise to do that. That's how I saved myself. Nobody told me how to do it. It's not in the book. It's self-healing through a very much of an exercise. We all have heartbreak, and heartbreak is real, and it will eat us alive if we don't stop it. Would you like to know how to heal a broken heart? I'll show you.
Yes.
Can you see the picture of the heart with the little doors?
Yep.
In America, we have advent calendars, or I think in Europe they do too. A little candy goes in little boxes that have little drawers on the front of them, and you put candy in for the children. So picture your heart having all of these little drawers, some bigger than others, but little door handles to pull them out. Now, when you get brave and you want to deal with one thing, don't go after a big thing. Open a little door. Now, take out what's in there, whether it's a simple, whatever it is, take it out. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't judge it. Just don't suppress it. Just let it go. I don't need this in my life. It's done. It's gone. Now, reach up and pull in light. Pull in a positive thought. And maybe it's a person, and think something good about that person that you took them through it. Maybe Aunt Bessie wasn't so bad after all, but I'm not angry at Aunt Bessie anymore. As you go further and further in your life, you get braver. Now, your soul deserves to feel peaceful. But when your heart is full of anger, you have to forgive yourself, forgive others. And who is the hardest person to forgive? Ourselves. Forgive yourself as you go through the doors of your heart. Pretty soon you'll find yourself sitting back taller, and you'll say, whew, this feels pretty good. Little by little by little, piece by piece by piece, you can heal yourself. It's not going to be easy because some of those big doors are going to really hurt. And opening the door about Carl and making myself remember the baby, remember how happy I was that I was going to have the baby, remember how sad I was when it happened, how sad I was at myself for making the mistake of my children needed me. I gave up my life. I had to forgive myself for all of those things. And in time, I healed that heart. And when you get to that, you're healing yourself, and it's the beginning. So be kind to yourself, one step at a time. You deserve to be happy. And let me see, enjoy a normal life while we're here on earth, whether it's a long one or a short one. Have it and enjoy it. And in conclusion, people are terrified of dying. And this is what I want them to know. Everyone hopes to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. It's the dying part that frightens us. Remember, we're promised an everlasting life in John 3:16. We can go to heaven. We can be transformed. Obviously, I'm still here, so my story isn't over yet. I have no idea where he's going to send me next, but wherever it is, I will go. I hope that you and your audience has found my message of hope and forgiveness of value to you. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak with you.
Sandra, that's quite incredible what you went through. And inspiring to know that we can look forward to being okay with ourselves and knowing that we all make mistakes. I mean, that's how we learn. And what we think is shameful maybe is not to others. I just wanted to ask you, what happened when you started sharing your story? Because you're expecting obviously that there'll be judgment and condemnation. What actually happened?
I was expecting to be beaten up royally by everybody. Well, first of all, I was worried about my children because I had never told them. And when the first video was going to go live, I talked to each one privately, and I told them what I actually showed them what I was going to talk about and told them. They did not know that. They knew that I was sad. They knew that I was unhappy because of the divorce from their father. And they did not like Carl. Not one of them liked Carl, but they did not know about that. And each of them said, "Mom, you're brave." And I think they were more appreciative they weren't understanding of my bad times with them. But when I went live, oh my gosh, I expected, because the internet is out there, the whole world. As of yesterday, I looked up my numbers for you just to let you know how many, 197,000 views. Of that 197 views, I've had, thousands of likes, maybe 10 criticisms. But what I found interesting is this. When I would get a criticism, somebody else would come in and tell that person, "No, look at her face. Didn't you hear what she said?" And the most recent one he was really nasty. And I said, "I don't believe in heaven." I said, "Then why are you on these channels listening to this? You don't want to believe, but you do. And I feel sorry for you. I'm praying that you will understand." So I went right back at him this way. And it's amazing that now that I've said it, it gets easier each time. And one of the first calls I got, because I do get messages on email, it was from a lady from Ireland. And it was one that was from Holland, the Netherlands. And her son had committed suicide just the month before. And my talking about suicide and having gone to heaven after gave her a great sense of peace that he might be there. And that's the type of message I'm getting. Or have you written a book? No, I'm not going to write a book because I can tell you in my face what's here. And How to Heal a Broken Heart is mine. I'm sharing it with you. Go in and if you don't remember, go back and listen to one of the podcasts and get it and be reminded what to do. It's a step-by-step process. I expected to be hammered, and I was not. I've been lifted up with you are so brave. You've given me courage to come forward as an NDE and tell people, because initially you don't want to, because people think you're crazy. And how can that happen? You're flying through the air, you're in heaven, and you see God. Who do you think you are? I'm Sandra, and I did see God. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. I know what happened, and I will tell you, and I will not tell you anything that didn't. I'm asked questions sometimes of things I can't answer. I did not see anybody else other than God, which that's pretty good to see God. I'm glad to see Him, you know. I didn't see angels. I did not. Some of the other people talk about things that you see. That I did not see hell. I just saw heaven. Is hell there? I don't. I can't answer that question. I don't know. I haven't seen. I can tell you heaven is, and it's beautiful, and it is all forgiving. And we go on to do other things. We don't just sit around doing nothing. I know that we go on to do other things, but I have been lifted up. Every time I do one of these, I get hundreds of questions, and I will go into each podcast and I will comment to each reply. And all of the hundreds of emails I've gotten, I have now. Sometimes I'll answer 3 or 4 times if they're going through something really big. I can't make a miracle. Yes, I came back with some unusual gifts, but I'm not a medium. I would like to be one. I am not a medium. I do not see my own spirit guides, but I know they're there, and people tell me they are. I don't have those gifts. I have a gift of healing. I have a gift of discernment, and I can sense when someone is sick and where they're sick, and I can find things. It's just, and one of the greatest gifts I've been given is helping people pass. I was given the privilege of helping 6 dear souls go to heaven. And I literally hold them in my arms, because usually we may have been here before and died before, but we don't remember it. So usually dying is a scary thing. And one particular case was a beautiful lady. I'd helped her husband pass a couple of years before, so she knew who I was. And the daughter-in-law, my sister-in-law, said, you can go to your meeting in Burlington, Vermont, because Mom's feeling better, because I wasn't going to go anywhere. I knew that she was near death. Well, I went to the meeting, and all of a sudden I got a phone call. Mom's turned for the worst. I was 3.5 hours away. And normally my boss wants us to go to dinner. I said, Charlie, I can't have dinner with you. I've got to go home. And he did not. And we drove as fast as we could. We got into the hospital, and I saw the hospice nurse, and she was shaking her head, and Caroline was laying in bed in a fetal position. And she had all the signs of dying, but something was wrong. I could sense immediately something was wrong. So I go up to her and I said, now, Caroline, and I don't remember, don't ever talk to someone who you think is unconscious, because they can hear you. And I knew that she could hear me. And with her husband, I was putting the moisture thing on his lips, and it was this horrible mini thing. I said, Charles, wouldn't you rather have an orange popsicle? He goes, uh-huh. Now, that man had not spoken in days. But when I said, Charles, wouldn't you rather have an orange popsicle? Uh-huh. Like an hour before he died. Uh-huh. So I told you, he can hear you. Tell him you love him. Tell him he can hear you. Well, with Caroline, what is it? She's a proper lady. Is it, Caroline, is it the men? You don't want the men here? And I got, yes. She wants the men gone. So I said to my husband, Bob, and my brother, Doug, you need to leave. And she relaxed. And I said, she's still, Diane, she's fighting. She won't let go because Diane's an only child. I said, she won't go because she doesn't want to leave you. You have to tell her it's okay to go. Well, Diane just couldn't say the words, but I knew she needed to hear them. So I literally crawled into bed and put Caroline in the crook of my right arm. I reached around her and had Diane, and so we were a circle around Caroline. And I said to her, I was watching her pulse and I was watching everything. She relaxed beautifully. And I started to tell her what to expect. Now things are going to start to change. And when they start to huff and puff is when they start getting afraid. So, okay, it's beginning. It's okay. Now remember, Charles is on the other side. That's her husband. You're going to rise up out of your body. Now that's okay. It's all right. It's a part of the process. You are safe. Diane is safe. I'm with Diane. Charles is on the other side waiting. It's okay. I watched your pulse. It's okay. I'll take care of Diane. Watched her pulse. All of a sudden, she opened up her eyes. The most beautiful smile. She was gone. That is a gift, to be given that opportunity to hold a dear soul in their arm and to make those last few minutes peaceful. That's my gift. And to me, that's more valuable than being a medium. That's what I do.
That just gave me goosebumps.
No, I don't do it. One lady said, "Would I come to California and do it?" I don't do it that way. God brings them to me, and they will.
We've lost that. Society's lost that. They used to make death so taboo. Distance from everything. Don't even talk about it.
No.
And put someone in hospice where they're away from everybody rather
They're
than
alone. They die alone. It's horrible.
It's really horrible. And I mean, you've been there. So who better to say, I know what you can expect than just to relax into it, because we're all going to die. It's just a matter of when. And I think the biggest fear people have is the pain of it, but you actually don't feel the pain.
There is no pain. And I talk to other NDEers. The moment of death, you may have pain up to that moment. There is no pain. There is no pain. No. Once you're out of that body, there is no pain, and you are light and free. No pain.
You know what else is, when you go on the other side, like your grandfather, that you get younger again, and you have all your limbs, and you're healthier.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that day. I'm looking forward to going to heaven, but not yet. I will go when he's ready to take me, and that's fine. I'm sure he has a few more things for me to do yet. We'll find out what it is.
I just wanted to, like, going back to sharing your story again. If you're sharing something over and over again, yes, you become used to saying it, but it must be healing as well. It must be healing you as well as healing your audience. It's not a one-sided thing.
Each time I say it, especially when I get the feedback saying, "Thank you for doing it," and I'll tell them, "I do it for you." I put myself, because now when you put this online, people will come back and they may give me negative feedback. That's fine. I can take it. But that each time I do it, I'm more confident. I kind of shortened some things on it. I've taken out some unnecessary things that are not important. I've just kept up the 4 major points, and that I do it for them. I don't do it for myself. I'm a messenger for God. The words of this presentation came from God through me onto a tablet my husband wrote for me. So this one, and he said, talk about healing a broken heart. Those were his words. I'm only a messenger. I'm his messenger to share the message. So now I know that is my job. He will protect me no matter what. I'm not afraid of not being protected. And sometimes I know sometimes if I'm a little bit uncomfortable, I say, "Okay, dear God, wrap me in that white fluffy blanket, please. Help me to feel safe." And I think because the more you talk to God, the more you can understand. And people say, "Well, I pray to God over and over." I said, "What are you praying for?" Pray that God to help you understand what you want to hear, or ask him to give you patience. You can't tell God what to do. He will do what he wants to do, but you can't expect him to jump for you. And sometimes listen, because it's a whisper. And some of it, like I was just standing up in front of that audience, and I had a little slideshow at the time of the heart and other things, and the purple dragon actually had a picture, and all of a sudden I stopped mid sentence, and my daughter's going, "What are you doing?" She's in charge of the slideshow, and I said, "We're going to talk about how to heal a broken heart." So God said, "Right now, stop." Now, another thing too, how God works with me. 6 years ago, I had a massive stroke, and I lost the ability to speak. So I started to think about doing this. Sometimes I do, and even today I stumble over some words just a little bit. That's a part of the stroke. Sometimes it's a similar word, but not quite right. It's kind of funny sometimes it comes out of me. And that's just an excuse that the devil was giving me to, no, you can't do it. So I go and say, "Okay, dear God, please, I'm going to do this for you. Please be with me and help the words to come out right, and help the words be what you want them to be, and help them reach the ears of the people that you need to hear." So many times I'll get a message, "Sandra, I know you talk to everyone, but to me today, I needed to hear that message." It's, "Oh, you said that message just to me." And I said, "Dear Lord, bring the people to hear what you need to hear." And It's amazing how many people are so happy to hear the good news. They need to hear good news. They need to know that there's something good coming up. The world is
Yeah.
crazy these days.
And getting crazier.
Yes, and frightening too.
Well, thank
Yeah,
you so much. I could just listen to you for hours. I wanted to ask you, where can people get hold of you if they want to connect?
please, I'm more than happy. As I said, I will respond to their replies. They can also email me a letter and I will respond to them. Sometimes it takes me a while to catch up, but I do. It's at sandra.rose.inspires, INSPIRES, @gmail.com. And I will respond to them. I have received um, hundreds of messages and sometimes pictures of them. And then I'll say, let me know how it goes. Let me know how this is working out a problem. I may give them a recommendation of what to do or how to heal a broken heart. Let me know how it worked. And they'll come back and say, it worked. Or thank you so much. It's making my life better. Thank you for telling me. That's what I need to hear. I'm making a difference. I'm keeping my promise to God and I'm making it an effort. I'm going to go to heaven.
And thank you from me too, because I think it's important to speak your truth. And we've been taught from very young, for I don't know how many generations, don't talk about anything, keep quiet, keep the secret. And when something's a secret, it becomes bigger, it becomes more painful. Was that your purple dragon, do you think?
The purple dragon? The purple dragon, the purple dragon was my way of saying that it kept reminding me that I wasn't good enough. I have a little purple dragon just for the fun of it. I guess I put a little purple dragon that comes out of an egg as a joke. I call the purple dragon my doubting, that I can't do it. You're not good enough. You can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. And it kept gnawing at me because I let it kept eating at me. And finally, the Dr. Menzel, you are valuable, Sandra. You don't have to let that define you. That was your past. You made the mistake. It will never happen again. You're not that person anymore. I was like a Tiffany glass. I consider myself, I was like a Tiffany lamp with all these broken colored pieces all smashed all over the place, right? Well, when I'm well, I'm still going to be a Tiffany glass, a mirror, a lamp, but I'm not going to be broken. I'm going to be different. But I'm not going to be a lamp. Why would I want to be a lamp? A lamp just shines down on one person, doesn't it? I'm going to go out. My pieces of color are going out all over the world through you and through the other channel masters. I'm just spraying it out. There it goes.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Before we go, do you have a message for our viewers for today?
The message is truly heaven is real, God is wonderful, and He is forgiven. And please start your day with a smile. If you need a smile, look at me because I'm one of the happiest people I know. And enjoy your life and live every minute of it. Don't waste the sunrise. If you love someone, call them and tell them. Don't wait. Call them and tell them today. And I send my love to you and to your listeners.
Thank you. And that gave me goosebumps again.
It's real. I am real.
Okay, thank you, Sandra.